as we think of, it's almost been 2 years, what are the things that stick with you the most? Barry, with your family, you're still in the process of rebuilding, as am I.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry about your situation as well, and it's difficult. Has been a challenge for most people. We're no exception. We're very lucky in the sense that we are back in our home, and we're excited to be back in the house, although there's still a lot of work to do. And as we talked about in the green room, it's the gift that keeps on giving, in the sense that we're always finding new and exciting consequences that Helene and Milton brought us. But we're hopeful that everybody will be back to where they need to be shortly, and we can go a few years without having to deal with such perils.
How has the neighborhood changed?
Well, it's changed quite a bit. So there's a lot of elevation going on. There are still quite a few people who are in trailers in their front yards, an unbelievable amount actually, that are still working on their homes. And some have just up and walked away. They've just either gotten frustrated with the process, or they just were so despondent in the problems that they were having that it was just time, or just too difficult for some people to handle. And they're just simply walking away and selling short, or some are just abandoning altogether, and it's unfortunate.
And so many people did just give up. Wendy, I'd like to ask you, when someone has to sell a home that they really never wanted to sell because of that, what has that process been like for you, working with these families?
It's been difficult, to say the least, because I don't think they've seen anything like this happen to our region in the past. You have people that have strong family ties and strong community ties to the neighborhoods that they live in and they love and they chose for a reason. And just like Barry said, some people are just walking away altogether, depending on where they can get in the rebuilding process or in the insurance claim process. At the end of the day, I will always say that people still choose Tampa Bay despite the storms. It's a very difficult process, but a lot of people are getting through it.
And so many folks are surprised to find out that there are still cases being resolved that date back to Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Tony, I'd like to ask you, when we spoke earlier this week, you said that you had just settled one of the last ones this week after Milton?
That is correct. Almost about 2 years after. Just settled one of the last cases now recently. Related to Hurricane Milton, which is shocking because everyone, it's been a couple of years since it have passed, and everyone assumes that the dust is all settled, but that's nothing could be further from the truth.
Why is that? So many that the cases take so long.
The cases take long. There's a couple of factors. Usually, it's a dispute about scope and pricing, not so much the damages. And that process can play out for some time, and in the process, it's a very stressful process because the families are not able to rebuild until they know exactly what their settlement will be in order for them to have the funds to rebuild. So it's a stressful process, and the biggest thing that I can recommend for policyholders and families is to prepare. Don't wait till the storm. Prepare before the storm hits. The chances for the most successful claim is the claim you start to prepare before the storm hits.
And yet so many of us don't want to think about hurricane season. The conversations between a claim person and the insurance company, or the person and the public adjuster, they're very intense. I know they were in my case. Tony, what do people typically start off by saying when they come to you and they say, I need your help, I need you to be my public insurance adjuster? Well,
in many cases there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anguish. When you speak to them early on, you feel the stress in because it's naturally a lot of many folks, property owners and business owners, after a major hurricane, this is the first time that they're ever facing an insurance claim. So there's a lot of uncertainty with what you don't know and what you don't know what to expect, and that's why you should have. Or at least have the resources to be able to, that you can look into in order to make informed decisions based on your loss. I think that's very important to have those tools available to the public so that they can make decisions.
Yeah. With
to
information.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Information is key because the hurricane damage affects across all party lines, right?
Correct.
It doesn't matter if you have a D, an R, or an I
Or
in front
an
of your,
NP, yeah.
It doesn't matter. We all go through it, and it's a time for a community to come together and help one another, regardless of party lines.
Wendy, what would you say is the health of our real estate market in the Tampa Bay region almost 2 years after Helene?
I'd say 26 has really been a different year because if you go back a year ago now, we were all still reeling from the storms. We were trying to get through. People were in hotels or Airbnbs or trying to quickly make decisions to relocate their families. So when you look at this year versus last year, it has been different. I think memories can be short for some people. When we get people that are moving in from out of the area and they're not used to that, we're having to tell them the story. This is what happened to us almost 2 years ago. This is why you should prepare and have those documents in order before a storm comes along. So we're trying to explain to them, just like we try to explain to people who relocate to Florida, that we do have alligators in our ponds.
Yes.
There's things that they're not aware of because
Yeah.
they just haven't gone through these storm seasons and they haven't gone through it. So I think the market, at least in general, has seen a lot of those rehabs, a lot of those remodeling properties out there that have been picked up by the investors and resold. I think buyers do need to be careful when they're looking at those to know what type of remediation was completed on the home. Was there a permit pulled for the work that was done? Was it done appropriately?
What are the resources? What should the potential buyer be asking about that specific home?
Anything that they can ask, whether it's a disclosure, if they can get a disclosure or information possibly from the previous owner. From an investor owned, they're not going to be able to get a disclosure that shows what happened during the storm, so that's going to be a little bit different. But can they ask and see what's on the public records, see what type of things have been replaced, what things have been inspected by the county, and things that have been closed out. So all of that's important. And then you have a lot of those buyers that come in and say, what kind of home safety solutions can we come up with, either to protect our existing property because we went through it and we remodeled, but now we're coming to Florida and we're buying. What kind of hurricane coverings can we get? What kind of roll down shades? What kind of impact glass can we put on our properties to be able to protect, which is usually somebody's biggest investment?
Barry, you've seen so much.
Yes.
We've talked about your experience as the VP of Shore Acres Civic Association. Taking that hat off and putting on your hat as president of the Pinellas Beaches Chamber, your thoughts on just how the community has rallied together after facing so much.
And that's really what gave me the greatest amount of hope. So immediately after the storm, people came together and formed a great unity in getting things done. There were really two camps, those that needed and those that were in a position to give. And even those that needed gave. And that was just what makes our community such a wonderful thing. So we had a resource store that was opened on Madeira Way. People donated to, and people could come and take what they needed. We worked with a group, pardon me, so at City Hall for Thanksgiving, in Madeira Beach City Hall, we fed 2,000 families for Thanksgiving immediately following Helene. We did a toy drive, both last year and this year. This is the chamber. And we raised over 1,000 gifts for holiday gifts for children who were in need, who parents couldn't get out and buy gifts that first Christmas or for the holiday season, simply because they lost their cars.
Yeah.
They had lost their jobs. They had lost their resources. So we were going to make sure that wasn't going to be a hindrance to be able to give their families a holiday. And we continue that on for this year. And I just heard from one of our large sponsors this morning, who I met with on John's Pass, that they are bringing it back again this year. So we're going to be raising another 1,000.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. And Shore Acres was the same. So we provided for them as well, and just made sure everybody had what they needed to have. So that was the great outpouring from this community, and I think that's what makes us just so special.